Okay, so now we're going to take a peek at assignment 2B. 2B is going to, have to do with the AutoCAD portion of module 2. So if I go to assignment 2B, you're going to notice that there is a list of 8 drawings that you're going to be doing to reinforce the things that we have, just been looking at. And here, as you can see in the note that I have at the bottom, make sure that you upload the individual files. So don't create one file with all of these things in it, okay? I want 8 separate files. That way you're uploading a separate file for each one. Now you're going to call it whatever it's called. So lines and squares pattern and such. When we're out in industry, and then later on too, when you do a project towards the end, most often you're going to be saving as part numbers, okay? But for right now, we'll just do the names of the parts that we have. So if you want to open up your book to page 340, this is the AutoCAD book. We're going to be looking at these first couple to just kind of get you, started and you know where to kind of go with the items that we have here. So, oopsie, my camera, let's go. There we go. So on page 340, the first item we're going to be looking at is going to be the lines and squares pattern. And this isn't so much a part that would be made as it's good practice for some of the things that we were looking at and in our example. So as we look at this, might as well just like talk a little bit about the approach that we would have. Are there any commands that you can think of that we've practiced, whether it's this week and or last week, that you think that you would use on this design? Polygon, absolutely. Yep, we're going to use Polygon. What else? Any other ideas? Yep, we just used it. What was it? Offset. Yep, you can see that you have a separation here. Looks like it's all a 1/4 inch. So that's why we see the 1/4 inch typical. Okay, so polygons offset. We're also I'm going to show you the mirror command. We didn't specifically do that in our example, but I'm going to show you that here. Okay, so that's going to be this one. So why don't we get started? So I am going to arrange so that I have my 0, 0 in the middle. I don't know, there isn't even really a reason to do the 0, 0, but it's just kind of a good place to start. So why not? You could pick anywhere on here, but I'm just going to use the 0, 0 because it's here. So I am going to use that polygon command. So in the draw command, you're going to notice there's like this little rectangle. If you arrow down, there's the polygon command underneath. Okay, so I'm going to do polygon. And the first thing it asks us on our command line, it says, enter the number of sides. So I'm going to start with that 3 by 3 square. Okay, so there's going to be 4 sides. And then it says specify the center point. So that's going to be my 0, 0, or you can left click anywhere on the screen. Totally fine. Okay. Then it's going to ask you, do you want this polygon inscribed or circumscribed? Okay. Circumscribed means that it's going to be a circle is going to be on the inside of the square, so that if you would, let me go underneath here. If you would, we would have basically a circle on the inside of the actual square. And we're going to use the 3 by 3 square to get started. Okay. So a circle would be on the inside. And what that allows us to do is from the center, we're going to specify the radius. And that's going to be the distance from the center to one of the flats, if you would, on our polygon. Okay. So we want it circumscribed. Most often that's the way you want to go. So now you can see that it's grabbed kind of the radius here. Now, because it's kind of floating around here, is there any commands that you can think of or any settings that we want to adjust so that we can only go horizontal or vertical? F8, you can hit F8, that's called the ortho mode, or down here next to your dynamic input, we can click the ortho mode and now notice that it's only going to go up or down. Okay, so that's exactly what we want. Now, once we kind of have it here, you're going to notice that before I click, if I would click right now, it's going to be a random distance. I need it to be 3 by 3. So it's asking me, what's the radius of that circumscribed circle? And that's going to be half of 3 is 1.5. Okay, 1.5. Now it's 1.5 on one side, 3 across, and that's the dimension that we need. Okay, so that's the first one. Now, if I go over the top of it, do you notice how you select the whole thing? So it's like a polyline, okay, one item. Now what we can do is if we look back, notice that all of these distances are 1/4 of an inch. So what that means is that each one of these is 1/4 inch in, okay? And I'm gonna need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares total that are gonna be 1/4 inch apart. We're gonna use the offset command to do that. So if I go to the offset command here, okay? And it's gonna say, what is your offset distance? And it says it's standard, it has a, whatever the value was the last time we used it during our AutoCAD session. So even though it was the part that we did before, it's remembering it. So I want to put in 0.25, enter. And then I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. I'm going to select the polygon and notice it selected all 4 sides at once. And then now I'm going to move my cursor towards the inside and I'm going to left click. Now I can continue to offset. It just wants me to select the next item. So I'm going to select the one that I just created, left click, go towards the inside, left click again. Then I'm still in the command, left click, in, and then count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need one more, in. And then once I have 6 to the center, I can hit escape or enter and I've got it done. Okay. Easy peasy. Now, you could create that square as 4 separate lines. And you could leave it as 4 separate. You could offset each one of those sides. Then you'd have to trim the corners. It doesn't sound fun, does it? And then you've got to do that 6 more times going on the inside. Polygon. Okay. Polygon also gives us a center. So we had to identify the center of it. And then it created, you know, one line going all the way around. So polyline, polygon, one thing. Okay. All right, cool. So then I'm going to go back underneath. Actually, you know what? Let's do something. Notice that I didn't close my gasket design before. So if you have this named as something else, now is a great time to do a file save as, and let's call it lines, squares, pattern. Okay. That way it changes it right away and we don't go over the top of something that we already created. That would not be a good thing. Okay. Let's go back underneath and let's see where we're at. So we've got all of the internal squares done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create this square on the outside. Do you see that? Okay. So we're going to go back to AutoCAD. Now, this is going to be a setting that we haven't worried about yet. Oh, I don't think I need it right now. I think that's later. That's later. Okay. No, forget it. I'm good. So now we're going to go back to Polygon. And we are going to say 4 sides. That's what it was before. And I'm going to specify my center. Now, you'll notice that if I go to the center, it doesn't activate it. Because remember, the center, as far as my running object snaps, is when I have a circle. Okay, it activates it. It doesn't see it now. So I'm going to put in 0, 0 for where it's going to start. I want to keep it as a circumscribed circle. So you can either select it again or hit enter. And then now look at what happens. Okay. What I want to do is I want to get, and I want to turn ortho off because it's not very happy when I do that. I want to see it actually do this. So turn ortho off, whether it's F8 or toggling it off. And I want to go to one of those corners. Okay. So I'm not specifying a value this time. I'm using the geometry endpoint to get that corner. So once I'm on that endpoint, click. Okay. And now I've got that outside square. That's like turned 45 degrees. Okay. So now I've got the outside here. Now I need to add those lines in the middle. Okay. So we're going to start in the very middle and I'm going to pan down here. I'm going to do this portion up here. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I can pan and I can roller zoom in and out. And I'm just going to do a line and I'm going to grab endpoint, intersection, whatever it does, either one, click, and then I need to go perpendicular here. Now it might find an apparent intersection. That's okay, but I want to ensure that it's perpendicular, okay? So I'm going to do shift right mouse button, perpendicular. And then it's going to override and it's going to just do perpendicular there, okay? So again, apparent intersection isn't awful, but I always want to make sure. So then I can hit escape. So I've got that line there, okay? Now, I want to offset it 1/4 inch, okay? So I'm going to go to the offset. It's going to remember the 1/4 inch. I can just say enter. And now I'm going to click on that line and I'm going to push to the right and I'm going to left click. Then I'm going to select the last one that I created, push to the right, and I'm going to left click. And I'm going to keep going. Let's see, until I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines total. Okay. And then I'm going to hit enter. Now, if I look back, I don't have those lines sticking up. So what's a command that I can use to get rid of these parts right here? The trim command, yeah. So I'm going to go up to my scissors. Now, if I want to do more than one all at once, okay, I don't have to individually select. I could go over the top. You'll notice if I go individually, I would do, 4 or 5 clicks. But I can actually do a click drag over the items I want to get rid of and then release. Okay. So if I click drag, oopsie, got to come around back one more time. Now in one stroke, I can get rid of all the ones that I don't want. So that's another option too when you have multiples. Okay. And then escape. So any questions on that? That's one side. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the mirror command. We haven't done this one yet, okay? Now, the mirror command is going to copy over a center line or a center plane or whatever, a center line in the case that we have, and it's going to copy whatever, what we selected. So what I want to do is I want to take these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines that are going down at an angle, and I want to mirror them over the middle line so that they copy on this side. Now, you could do offset, go back in the other direction and do the very same thing on the other side. That's fine, but why not practice something else, okay? So the mirror command is right here to the right of the copy command. There's the mirror command. So we're going to click on it, okay? And it's going to say to us, select the items you want to mirror. We do not want to select the middle item because that's going to be our mirror line. So we're going to select the one on the right, then the next, and there's those 5 little lines there, okay? Once you have all 5 selected, you're going to hit enter. And now it's going to say, specify your first point on your mirror line. We're just going to go at the top of that middle line and then the bottom of the middle line, okay? And once you do that, it asks you a question. Do you want to erase the source data, okay, or the source objects? Usually on a mirror, you don't. You usually want to show, symmetry on either side. But you could just, mirror it over and then it just like pushes it over. But we usually want to. So you're going to notice we don't want to erase the source object. So no is the standard. So, and usually that's the answer that you want because you want it to look the same on both sides. So now when you hit enter, they're in place. Okay. Now we can mirror this again. So if I shift this up and I do mirror, this time I want to select all the items here and I'm going to do a little window, kind of go partials and then here. So I want to make sure that I have 11 items selected. It's all the vertical lines here. Okay. Now I don't have a horizontal line in my drawing here, but that's okay. All right. I can kind of create it as I go. So I'm going to hit okay. And it's going to say first point on your mirror line. I'm going to go to the end point, the right point on my outside square. Do you see that? And then I'm going to go horizontal to the left point for the second point of my mirror line there. And then I'm going to hit enter. And do I want it the source data? No. And then you're going to notice that I got it there. Isn't that good? Okay. So guess what you get to do? You get to finish this one. I'm going to let you guys finish it with the stuff that we've gone over. And then you're going to hand in this file. So if you want to do a quick file, save, line, squares, patterns, you've got a good start on that one. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to let you finish up this first design. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get you started on the interlacement design, which is our second one. So I am going to do a quick file save so that I have what I have here, but then I'm going to delete what I have on the screen. My next one is also an English units. So it's going to be in the same units. I don't have to go in and out, but I'm going to do a file save as, and we're going to call this the interlacement placement design. Okay, that's the second one. Okay, and I just don't want to go over the top of what I already have created on the previous one. So want to do that. So let's take a peek here at the second design on this page. Okay, so this is the one that we're going to create. So as we look at this, any ideas of maybe some commands that we might find come in handy? I heard polygon, I've heard trim. Yep, absolutely. Both of those are going to be used. I want to let you know in all of our designs, you do not need to add any of the dimensions, okay? It's just going to be the objects that we see here. Additionally, you're going to notice that there's a circle around here that is only for letting you know that that polygon is inscribed, or I'm sorry, circumscribed inside of the circle. So you do not have to worry about that. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So this circle on the outside, you don't have to do. You're also going to notice one other thing about this design. These distances look thinner on this illustration than what you end up drawing it. It's the proportion. So the 0.2 looks thicker when it's on your screen. Don't question that. It's totally fine. We're going to use the dimensions that are there and that kind of thing. So let's take a peek here at this one. Okay. So first thing we're going to do, as was suggested, is we're going to do a polygon. Okay. We're going to start on the inside. We know that the two squares are 2-inch squares. I'm going to go back underneath here. They're 2-inch squares on the outside. So I'm going to create this first square and then the second square, and then we're going to offset each one of those. Okay. So I was on my polygon command. Okay. It wants to know the number of sides. I want 4. Okay. And then my center point, I'm just going to put it at 0, 0 again, just because it's there. And then we want circumscribed about a circle. Now, I want to make sure that I am horizontal or vertical, okay? Because I want to make the normal square here. So I'm going to put my ortho mode back on, and I'm just going to orient so that I'm horizontal or vertical. And then I am going to, it's asking me what is the radius. So don't left click here because you want to input a radius of 1. So it goes to the right size, okay? Now this is the outside of that square, okay? So now I'm going to do an offset, and it's going to be 0.2, not 0.25, 0.2, enter. And now I'm going to click the outside. I'm going to go to the inside, and then I'm going to left click and then hit escape. Now, notice that it does look thicker than what's there. And that's, so if I compare this and how it looks proportionally, it definitely looks thicker. Don't worry, 0.2 is correct. You're okay. All right. Now I'm going to add the next square here. Okay. This one. And we're going to go over to AutoCAD. Now, this is where I was thinking earlier, I'm like, oh no, it's on the second one. Down next to ortho, if you hover over, it's called polar tracking. Okay, polar tracking. Polar in, kind of the world of Cartesian coordinates is always when we're looking at something going at an angle around. Okay, so we want to tip the next polygon, the square, to be 45 degrees to what we have right here. We don't want it to be, normal. So we're going to put polar tracking on. So that's going to take ortho off. We're going to toggle on polar tracking, and we're going to left click on that down arrow. Right now, polar tracking is on 90, 180, 270. So it's those green like little lines that we end up seeing coming through. What we want to do is we want to activate the one below. Whoopsie. Just make sure it'll close when you activate it. But we want to make sure that we toggle the 45 because we want to get to the 45-degree angle when we orient. Okay. So make sure that that's toggled and that's on. And now we're going to go to polygon, 4 sides. So we can just hit enter, or if you got to put 4 in, you can. The center point is going to be 0, 0. And then now we want the circumscribed like we normally would. Now, this is the difference. So if I go vertically, it's there. And then if I start tipping, it's going to grab to the 45-degree angle. Do you see that? If you don't have the polar tracking set to the 45, then you won't see that, okay? it's gonna track to the 45, and then it'll track to 0 or 90 and so on. Okay, that's what I want. So I want to orient this, not clicking. I just want to orient it so I'm on that 45-degree angle. Okay, that polar tracking. And then now I'm going to put in, it's going to ask me what's the radius. I could left click, but I don't want to because I want a radius of 1. Enter. Why didn't it do it? Undo. Why didn't it do that? Why didn't it do that? Yours did it? No, it went over the top of this one. Why didn't it do that? Let me try it one more time. So I've got the 45. Let me do it. I'm just gonna, did everybody's go back to the normal? Okay, just do an undo because now we have 2 squares over the top of each other. So you should be left with the other. So let me do this one more time. And am I missing something? Polygon, 4 sides. Center is 0, 0. Circumscribed. I'm at my angle. This is the angle. I don't have any other things. And my radius is 1. Okay. All right. Plan B. No problem. So what we're going to do, I don't know why that's not working exactly. I'll do a little bit of investigating, but that's okay. Sometimes we run into these little things, and that's okay. So what we're going to do instead is we have this current set where we're oriented 90 degrees, right? We have a command called rotate. Let's do the rotate command. How about that? We're going to learn another one. So we are going to click on the rotate command. It's just to the right of the move. Okay. And this is another common one that we can incorporate. So it's not something that we don't need. And what we want to do is we want to select our object. So I'm going to left click and I'm going to go around both of my squares. Okay. And then I'm going to have 2 things that were found and I'm just going to hit enter. Specify the base point. The base point is going to be 0, 0. Enter. And then now I can rotate. Now it's going to ask me that at the bottom here, specify the rotation angle. Okay. And it's also going to ask me, do I want to copy what I have? So what that means is if I hit C for copy or click on copy, it's going to leave the original behind. Do you think that would be a good idea for this? I think it would be, right? Because I have that one square and I'm now going to rotate and copy a new one 45 degrees. So before I put my angle in, I'm going to either click on copy or I am going to hit C and enter. Okay. Either one. Now notice it's going to leave that copy behind. And what do you think my rotation angle should be? 45, right? 45, enter. And do you have what I see here on the screen? Okay, let me do it one more time just in case. So I'm going to do the rotate command. I'm going to select both. I have them selected, enter. Specify my base point. Again, I'm reading right off of the command line. Nobody expects you to remember what each one of the steps are on a command. Watch your command line, enter. And now it's asking me, do I want to copy that? Yes, so either C, enter, or click on copy. Now we're leaving a copy behind. And we're going to rotate our new one, 45, enter. Okay. Now, I am going to let you do this part of this design. I'm going to go back underneath. Notice that you're going to have to trim out certain parts to kind of make this look, you know, interlaced in each one. Okay. So I'm not going to do the trimming here. I'm going to let you do that later. Okay. But the last step that I'm going to show you is going to be, actually, I'm not going to show you the last step. I got you started. I think you can do this. The last step is going to be putting the outside polygon on. How many sides is that polygon? 8, right? I'm going to let you use your command line and finish this one up. Okay. And I know you can do it. And then you can do an offset of the 0.2 to the outside. So there's a good start on the interlacement and on the lines and squares. Now, please stop clicking and doing any of those problems, right? Let's look ahead at the other ones that you have. I'm not going to demonstrate these at this time, but then you're going to continue on. So the next ones that you have, and I just want to verify because I want to have here. So I've got polygons and circles and then the indexing base. So our next one is going to be polygons and circles. Okay, so you're going to be doing this one. So as you can see, you're going to be exercising polygons and circles. Okay, then you're going to skip over. You don't have to do number 4, but then you're going to go to the indexing base. That one looks fun. Okay, then you're going to do the slider guide, the event cover. Oh, that one looks fun too. The filler cap, and then lastly, the positioning spacer, okay, on the back side. So as you can see, the parts aren't just straight lines and circles anymore, right? You can probably notice that you're going to be using tangencies, you're going to be using trims, extends, things like that, polylines or polygons and polylines and such. So you should be pretty prepared for these items. I'm not saying that they're not going to be challenging. You're gonna have to work through them, but that's what we're here. That's what I'm here for on our work days. Okay. So the rest of the time today, until the end of class, is going to be you to have as work time and have me available to answer questions. Additionally, the next time that we meet, session number 3 for this week is going to be work time, which is on Friday. Okay. So if you work on assignment 2B and the practice problems or any one of these things between now and then, and you have any questions, you can bring them up at our next meeting, which is on Friday. If you get done with all of the items, you wouldn't have to come on Friday if you didn't want to. Or again, remember, work time is always going to be on your own. So if you choose not to come on Friday, let me know you're not coming. Okay, send me a quick email. And that's okay. You're not going to get docked for that, but you have to make sure that you have time outside of class to finish this stuff up and you feel confident, okay? Because that time is dedicated for me to spend with you for any questions that you have, okay? Any questions before we adjourn? Oh, Deborah.
So next week, if we don't have class Monday, are we out of the textbook on Wednesday?
Oh, that's a great question. Hold on. I'm gonna stop our recording here.